How are we doing, guys? ALTV, Leeds 1, Burnley 0, post-match reaction. What an absolutely massive win that was today, guys. Massive win. And we can breathe again, guys. We can breathe again because that was a tough second half. Really tough second half for us, but great to show we can beat a team like Burnley. You know, I think obviously this season we've struggled, especially at home, to break down teams that are very compact, keep it tight, play long balls, you know, very aerially dominant. I thought we did really well today to win that game. It wasn't a great performance by any stretch of the imagination. That second half was shocking, to be honest. It was a shocking second half from us, and we got a bit lucky, you know, in that second half. There's no way I can just doubt that at all. We were a bit lucky in that second half, to say the least. But yeah, we've shown a lot about us today. Big win today, big win. But obviously, the big thing to start off with was the formation change. We've changed to a 3-3-1-3 system. Burnley go with two up top. I did kind of mention this yesterday in the the pre-match build-up. You know, about Burnley being very much a 4-4-2 team. Barnes and Wood, you know, that has been their strike force for kind of 2 or 3 years now. And, you know, very much expecting them to go for 4-4-2. They did go 4-4-2. And as always, Bielsa, when the team goes with 2 centre forwards, we tend to change to a back 3. So no real surprises there. We changed to the 3-3-1-3. Pascal Stewart came in for the injured Liam Cooper. So Aylin, Phillips and Stewart was our back 3. And to be honest, Phillips dropped in and he had a lot more time on the ball, especially that first half you saw. Phillips had a lot more time on the ball. And I thought it was a really good performance from KP today. I thought it was a really good performance from from all 3 individually and collectively. I thought they really played well today. And we restricted Burnley, despite them having a lot of control, a lot of pressure, a lot of sustained pressure in that second half. We didn't really allow them that many chances against us. You know, I think only really that Chris Wood header in that first half was probably only the really big chance I can remember Burnley having. You know, I'm not saying Burnley didn't play well. They did play decent, but I don't really remember him causing any serious problems in that final third for us today, ultimately. And ultimately, chances win games. You know, you can't score without chances, and Burnley, we restricted them to very few chances. So we did what we had to do. We showed a lot of determination, grit, and just great intelligence, our high IQ defending, really. You know, we really defended well today. You know, we made the right decisions at the right times. The timing of the tackles was spot on. We won things in the air. Melier was commanding on corners, and it was just a really good defensive performance from us today. I think everything else you can criticise today. You know, I think certainly our passing was pretty poor today, but in terms of defensive spirit and resolve, I thought we showed immense progress in that respect, to be fair. You know, certainly since last Sunday's game. Yeah, we've shown great progress in that respect. Obviously made a couple of notes on the game. The first half I thought were really good. You know, I think obviously the angle of this game has been that Burnley were unlucky not to get anything. But let's not forget that first half, we could have been clear in that first half. We were well in control. We started at a good tempo. We were moving the ball around nicely. I know it's a long distant memory, that first half, because that second half felt like a 4-hour drive to London, to be honest. It just thought it was never ending. It just thought it was never ever ending. I think it was double figures for corners. But to be fair, we got through every single one of them. And Burnley, I can't remember really creating anything serious from the set pieces. You know, we just dominated that area of the pitch. But in terms of how we started that first half, I thought it was really good. You know, we had big chances, obviously made notes of them. The first big chance, obviously, is Bamford. You know, through ball down the line off Aylin, fantastic ball into him, great touch off Paddy Bamford, and the intelligence just to take it round Nick Pope. Nick Pope overcommits, he fouls Bamford, and obviously before the last couple of seasons that would have been a red card for Nick Pope. Of course, double jeopardy is the yellow card, and Bamford, the penalty was fantastic. Interesting that Mateusz Klich was taken off the penalties, because he did miss against West Ham. I know it was retaken, but he did miss the first penalty. Interesting that Paddy Bamford took it today, and he buried it. Absolutely fantastic penalty, and let's be honest, Paddy Bamford, if he had been on penalties for the whole season, would be among the top 2 or 3 goal scorers in the whole league. But he got his 10th for the season, and it was a fantastic finish from him, and it was a really sharp, proper centre forward performance in that first half for me. Really good from him. We had other chances as well. You know, obviously Harrison puts a looped cross into the box. Rafinha makes a great run off Charlie Taylor. He tries to loop a header over Nick Pope. Almost gets there. Just kind of hits the top of the netting. Unlucky with that one. We have another chance as well, which was for. Let me just remind myself now. Let me remind myself. It was a Rafinha. Fantastic work of Rafinha. Another ball down the line. Rafinha gets in behind Charlie Taylor. Fantastic bit of skill to get round Ben Mee. Ben Mee's nowhere. And yeah, you know, it's a great cutback for Harrison. and it's Bamford who blocks it on the line ultimately, and it's a bit unlucky that. In fact, I remember that one quite incorrect actually. I remember it was actually Rafinha won the ball off Burnley. I'm thinking of another chance there. But anyway, great work off Rafinha, cuts it back to Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison for me should score that. He doesn't put it in the corner, he kind of just puts it back to where it came from. Again, the other corner was open, Nick Pope's not getting across, probably should be taking that chance for me. And then probably our best chance after we scored was probably the ball in from Harrison, ball down the line into Harrison, great ball in to Rodrigo. Rodrigo heads it from 6 yards out, great bit of movement to be fair, good run from deep, but he heads it wide from 6 yards out, horrendously wide. It's not a good finish off Rodrigo, we probably should go in 2-0 ahead. But then, you know, obviously 5-10 minutes before half time, we lost a bit of control. Burnley was starting to win the second balls, and Burnley had created a good chance of their own. Matty Lowton gets down the line, great ball into Chris Wood. You know, Meslier doesn't get on the end of the cross. Wood gets in behind Meslier, and sort of in between Meslier and Ayling. Ayling, to be fair, puts him off in the end. Wood heads it over, but that's a great chance for Burnley. And that's the thing with this Leeds team at the minute. You know, I think we're doing really well. You know, in terms of 20 points from 15 games, it's a fantastic start for us. Performances over the season have been really good. But I just feel the last couple of games, there's a mistake in us. Yeah, there's a mistake in us. If it's giving the ball away in our own half, a defensive mistake, misjudging decisions, we've just shown a little bit of that last couple of games. We've played okay, but just that's kind of been what's kind of been causing us problems. You know, obviously we saw against Man United last Sunday, we made 2 mistakes in the first 3 minutes and we were 2-0 down. Today we didn't get punished for the mistakes. We did hold firm defensively, and to be fair to us, but we made a lot of mistakes today. There's no denying that. We made a lot of mistakes, especially second half, giving the ball away in really bad positions. And yeah, we just couldn't really create any angles to play the ball out with, and it was frustrating in that respect. The second half was really tough to watch, and it was an awful second half. It was probably one of the worst halves of football I've seen under Bielsa, in terms of just football in general. It was just a terrible second half, but ultimately, those are the kind of games that, kind of before the first Bielsa season when we had games like that, we wouldn't have won those. We've shown that great resolve today to win that game. You know, I think we had a similar win against Sheffield United at the start of the season. I thought obviously we were better on the day than we were today, but ultimately we've shown we can win games 1-0. You know, I know there's a lot of criticism for Bielsa in terms of being too open and expansive, but today we showed that other side of our game that, you know what, at 1-0, we managed the game okay. We did manage the game okay. You know, we didn't allow Burnley chances. We attacked not so much as free-flowing going forwards, but you know, we just showed. I never really felt it's a really difficult game to assess, really. You know, in that kind of respect, I never really felt that we were going to drop the points. To be honest, you know, I know Burnley put on a lot of pressure, but they weren't really creating anything, and it felt like the only way they were going to score was a mistake from us. They weren't really cutting us open, and they weren't really creating chances against us, you know, getting the balls down the line. I didn't really feel that from Burnley. You know, a lot of people talk about they started to dominate the game, but it was one of those, they didn't really create anything. So that gave me great, you know, I was happy in that respect. But ultimately, we didn't play well enough to really deserve the 3 points, but we showed determination and just got ourselves through it. That's the thing, we got ourselves through the game, and that's really the main thing you can talk about from this, in terms of analysing the game itself. And yeah, you know, I've said about the mistakes, but I think the big thing, the one disadvantage with this 3-3-1-3 shape is that we've only really got one central midfielder. We've only really got Mateusz Klich. And the problem is, the one central midfielder in a 3-3-1-3 has so much work to do. They've got to do the defensive side of the game, they've got to protect the back three, they've got to get on the ball, they've got to get the ball into the three in front of the striker, they've got to move the ball around, they've got to dominate the game. It's a lot of work for one player, and I think Klich, to be fair, first 20-30 minutes started quite well, but then he got a bit sloppy. And I think obviously teams the last couple of games have been working on, it's hard to explain really with Klich. You know, Klich is a fantastic footballer, but I look at it and I think teams are setting traps for Mateusz Klich at the minute. I think that's definitely the thing, really. I think they're waiting for Klich to get on the ball and they're pressing him. And today, Burnley could do that because Burnley knew Mateusz Klich had no midfield partners today. He was on his own midfield against two midfielders. It was not an easy task for him at all. And that's the one disadvantage of our system. It's harder to control games because we don't have the overloads in the middle of the pitch. It's much more difficult for us to control games in a 3-3-1-3 shape. I think it helps us going forward because you obviously got Rodrigo close to Bamford, Rodrigo playing as more of a 10 in front of Klich. But I think defensively and going forward, and in terms of playing the ball out the back. It makes it a lot more difficult for us, really, in that respect. I think obviously the exit strategy is something we're struggling with in terms of getting out. Yeah, it sounds like I'm talking about Brexit now. I'm not talking about Brexit. I'm talking about getting the ball into the middle third. I think that's something we're struggling with at the minute. I think ever since Chelsea, when Chelsea pressed us, we struggled with it. When West Ham sat off us in the mid-block, a bit more like how Burnley did, sat off us, they made it difficult because they blocked the passing angles, they blocked the passing channels. Click didn't have the clear pass into Rodrigo, he didn't have the pass out wide, he didn't have the pass on either side really, so it made it a lot more difficult for Click today. And I've got, I'm not defending Click. Click's passing was poor today. He gave the ball away needlessly at times. The whole team did at times in that second half. We're trying cross-field balls in our own third of the pitch. We're trying to play the ball from one end of the pitch to the other in our own half, chest height. There's one moment in that first half when Rodrigo's receiving the ball chest height, and he's having to go at, I think it was Jack Harrison who played the pass, for a good 30 seconds. You could just see, just on the other side of the pitch, you could see he wasn't happy with that. And I just think our decision making in that respect wasn't very good. But ultimately, we won the game, we created a lot of chances, and we defended well. We were brilliant in both boxes today. That's something I've got to say. We were very, very good in both boxes. That middle third we struggled with a little bit more, but I think that was more of how Burnley set up against us. I think the second half they pushed up a little bit. Ashley Westwood, Josh Brownhill started to take control in that midfield. They pressed high. It was always a 2v1 in that midfield. And obviously we tried to take Click off. We put Dallas in. I don't think Dallas is suited to the central areas. I don't think he's got that kind of speed, that turn. And I don't think it comes natural to him, and Stuart Dallas playing in midfield. I think he's a fantastic fullback, wingback, whatever you want to call him. I think he's fantastic at doing that. But in terms of in midfield, it just doesn't suit his game. Jamie Shackleton came on. Again, me and Joe Wayman said, I want to see Jamie Shackleton go into midfield. He's got that neat turn, that speed, that energy, good passing angles, good passing range. I just didn't really think it suited Stuart Dallas going into that position. I just thought our second half was messy. But ultimately, we showed the defensive resolve. We didn't really allow Burnley chances. And ultimately, Burnley, despite having a lot of pressure, never really looked like getting that goal for me. They never really looked like getting that goal. Again, you might call me naive, but if you want to call me naive, be Burnley fans watching this, name me another chance Burnley created in that game after the Chris Wood chance in the first half. They didn't create another chance. And ultimately, they didn't show that quality in that final third today, despite having very good strikers and on the pitch. And that's great credit to us. And we get ourselves a big win. We do get ourselves a big win at the end of the day. And I think obviously Pablo came on. I think Pablo gave us that bit more energy in the 10 role. I think he gave it that bit more drive in terms of getting on the ball and driving into the central areas, driving at the Burnley defence. A couple of times he did that. And I thought he did okay. Better than Rodrigo in that respect, to be fair. I thought it was interesting Rafinha came off. But look, we've got fantastic forwards. Rafinha, Bamford are linking up really well. On the right hand side, I think Stuart Dallas and Rafinha are linking up really well. Just think on that left hand side, it's not quite linking up as well. But there's enough there to say this team is too good to go down. I think both teams are too good to go down, if I'm being honest. I think they've shown a lot about them today, both sides. I know a lot to focus on it being a poor second half, but I just thought it was both teams cancelling each other out in effect. We were trying to launch the counter-attacks. Burnley stayed compact. Burnley was trying to get balls into the box. We had 3v2s in the box. Meslier came out. I just thought both teams cancelled each other out in that second half, really. And then obviously, you look at the next couple of games, West Brom, Tottenham. I think obviously we've got to sort that control out in terms of how we control games. We're not really controlling games very well. I think it's been ever since that Chelsea game. We've lost that bit of control that we had at the start of the season. Or a lot of control at the start of the season. I've not really seen that Arsenal game, that Everton game, where we sort of controlled the game from minute 1 to 90. I suppose Newcastle we did, but Newcastle, let's be honest, aren't great. But, I think really that's probably the only game out of the last 6 where I've really looked in control of it. In terms of the midfield, working the ball well, passing the ball well. The passing's not been too great last couple of games, but if we keep being as good as we are in both boxes, like we were today, we'll be fine. We'll be absolutely fine. We'll keep moving up the table for me. We've got ourselves up to 11th. Massive, massive for us. And as Joe Wayman says, it's a perfect scenario. Today we didn't play particularly well in terms of in all the thirds, but we won the game. We won the game. We showed that other side to our game. We got a clean sheet as well. A clean sheet's big too. And we were less reliant on Meslier, I thought, in terms of making saves. He's made a couple of saves off Barnes. But really the saves that you expect Meslier to make. We didn't really need a world-class save from Meslier to win us the game. And that's a positive in that respect as well. But You know, January's coming at a good time. You know, obviously we're probably identifying the targets at this point. I think maybe the midfield balance, fantastic at the start of the season. Last couple of games it's not looked quite right. Teams, as I said, are setting traps on us. They're either setting traps or they're pressing high. And I just think if we're going to carry on trying to play 3-3-1-3 against teams that play like Burnley do in terms of two up top, we need to look at who's screening in the back four, because Mateusz Klich, fantastic off the ball, but that doesn't always make a fantastic defensive midfielder. Klich today, and Dallas was the same, they didn't know whether to press or drop back. You know, we saw a couple of times Klich and Dallas went to press